to be honest. So, be that as it may, what did he say? He sport the Premier League. Now, what I would say is, you watch Man City, and I think aren't they a boring team because they're quick, and to be effective, whatever style you play, you've got to be quick. You shouldn't be
Yeah.
just faffing about passing the ball at the back, just to get possession points or whatever.
Yeah.
So I've never found them a boring team, and of course they've got you know, class players all the way through.
Yeah.
They always have had these last few years. So it's a bit much to say they're a boring side. What I would say, though, is, as you said, lots of other teams in the division have tried to emulate what Manchester City do. So they've all gone to this passing game.
Yeah.
And I have to say, sometimes if I'm watching a match on Sunday afternoon or even at a match, if a team starts doing this passing around the back and then they pass it to a midfield player and it comes straight back. And sometimes you watch some teams and the defenders, they got the ball, they'll stop. They'll actually
Yeah.
stop with the ball, almost saying, come on, come and get it to the opposition.
Yeah.
And then you think, God, this is so boring. And
Yeah.
it does happen. And a lot of teams do play like that. Now, I wouldn't say, well, I blame Manchester City, but because I think Pep Guardiola's different. It was never quite like that with his team. But he did introduce this idea of a strong passing game, passing out from the back. Most teams still try that. The goalkeeper used to hoof it up the field for the big number 9 or whatever. The last 2, 3, 4 seasons, teams faff about at the back, don't they? And sometimes give away a goal because they do that.
Yeah.
But they still try it, a lot of teams. And that probably is a legacy of this total football that Manchester City have played. The difference is most teams don't play it anything like as cleverly or as well as Manchester City. So, yeah, there is an element in our Premier League now that it can get boring. Now, I
Right.
mean, the Fulham Saturday when I saw Palace beat Fulham 3-0, it
Yeah.
was brilliant. It was end-to-end football. It was quick. It was thrilling. Always goal-mouth action. One of the best games I've seen for a long time. Really great game. A good result from my team, my team's point of view, and my point of view. But sometimes nowadays, some games which you see on Match of the Day, or because you only get a clip of it then, but live games on a Sunday or Saturday night,
Yeah.
they can get a bit boring, a bit tedious. So, I then, I'm going to do something else. And that's just a shame because I love football. We all do. It's a
Yeah.
national game.
We
But
do.
yeah, I don't agree really with what Cappello said. I wouldn't blame Pep Guardiola, but maybe other managers for trying to emulate something that their players are not really good enough to do. I think that's what it
Yeah.
comes down to.
Yeah. 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 Now that you've explained it that way, I think I'm starting to think more in depth about it and thinking, hmm. But it then brings us to the current England manager, Thomas Tuchel,
Yep.
um, and during one of his press conferences, he said, "I want to see a bit of I can't quite say it like he said it, but what he was trying to get across was he wanted to see a more entertaining football. He wanted to see players actually work with the ball rather than pass it as it is."
Mm.
And I think we saw that with what you described about passing the ball from the back to
Yeah.
them, you know. So we saw a bit of that with the way that England played in their first 2 games. Now, what would you prefer? Would you prefer Pep Guardiola's approach or Thomas's approach? Which would you prefer to watch? Would you prefer Pep Guardiola's approach or Thomas's approach? Which would you prefer to watch as a
Oh,
as a
yes. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a really good question, I think. Very, really good question. Yeah, I did get the impression that Tuchel, probably answering a question at a press conference, that he had a bit of a dig at Southgate, your friend Gareth Southgate's.
Indeed.
Um, he did, didn't he? But sometimes
It
the way
is.
the press report it, you
Yeah.
think, oh, this guy's just come out and had a real dig at Southgate. Well, it's not quite like that. It's all clickbait, isn't it? It's, they were asked a question. Have you changed your style from the previous manager's style? And obviously he'll answer that question. Most managers will say, yeah, I've got my own ideas and blah, 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 which almost imply criticism. And I don't think that's what's meant. I just think he felt that Southgate's team, if he meant that at all,
Yeah.
didn't quite have the desire to get forward and to make things happen. It was kind of a bit more pretty passing again, which is coming back to what we've just been saying. So I think it's early days for Tuchel. I think he's finding his feet. I think he's a very good manager. I think he was at Chelsea. He was there, wasn't he? He did a good job there, and in other countries in Europe. So I think he could do quite well for us. I think he's got the respect. I get the impression, the respect of the players.
Right.
He's a tried and tested manager. The fact that he's been given that job says a lot in itself. So yeah, I wouldn't take too much notice of what you can't expect a manager to sort of divulge what his tactics are always going to be. How he can say a general style of play, but perhaps he was saying that I want to go out to win. You've got to build from defence, but I want to go out to win. I don't want to go out not to lose. And I think if there was a criticism of Southgate, possibly, it was that he sent the team out not to lose.
Yeah.
A bit defensive-minded. And I think Tuchel's going to be attacking-minded. And that can only be good. That can only be good. As I said, the Palace-Fulham game on Saturday was a joy. I mean, it was end-to-end stuff. I mean, Fulham had most of the possession, but Palace were brilliant on the break, which is where their strengths are.
Yeah.
Not so much last night. The Southampton game, it was a draw, but Palace, they were not up to the standard they played Saturday. It's a lot of games. I mean, on Saturday, Palace are home to Brighton, which most of us are looking forward to because there is this rivalry between Palace and Brighton going back a few years.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a rivalry. I don't quite know why. I suppose we're quite close together. Although Palace are in South London. I mean, I live nearer to Brighton significantly than I do to Palace, but I've been a Palace fan.